Hey guys, we're here this morning at Sexton Offroad in order to install a 3.5-inch JK lift from Tere-Flex with the 8 arms, track bar, and our intention is to get enough lift to get 37s under this with the flat fender kit from Poison Spider. By the end of the day we should have this installation done. We're going to try to do a step-by-step process for you. So what we got here is all of our springs, shocks, track bar brackets, our short arms for the uppers and our short arms for the lowers, and then our track bar itself and our link arms. We've also got our Yukon gears that were donated to us by Complete Offroad and Yukon, and thanks to Randy's Ring and Pinion we're able to get those in as well. That'll help us turn our 37-inch tires. Okay, so what we're doing now is we just loosened up all the 21mm rear control arm bolts, and the shock bolts. We'll be pulling the shocks off as we speak. And Tyler's working on the control arms and installing the grease zerks before we get them put in there. So now we're removing the brake line brackets off the frame. You don't need to disconnect the brake lines yet. We're also going to get underneath and lower the emergency brake line bracket as well with a 10mm socket. So now we've lowered the axle far enough to get the new springs, or the old springs out. We'll put a new isolator cup in there, reusing the old one to keep from dampening as well. And then we'll start changing out the arms.
Okay, we're here installing the rear end, the back rear arms, springs. Pulled off the old ones.
Okay, so we got the rear arms on in the right manner with the angle coming in towards, so it's parallel with the frame. Grease zerks all should be pointed in so they are protected from the rocks. Got the 3.5-inch springs in there, and we're ready to install the track bar bracket now, and the sway bar links. The last thing we're doing is putting the track bar bracket on. We always try to weld those on because of the movement and the lateral forces on the axle have a tendency to crack them if they're not welded on versus bolted on. Perfectly fine to bolt it on and then take it over to a certified welder to get her welded up. So Tyler's just finishing installing the emergency brake bracket that we dropped earlier in the segment in order to give us enough clearance. And then we'll be done with the rear and we'll move on to the front. So we've gotten the front mostly tore apart, loosened the shock bolts, loosened all the control arms, took the track bar bracket off, or the track bar off, and put new bump stop extenders in, and then used the old bump stops. Took the sway bar off, and now we're starting to put the control arms back on, the longer arms, or the short arm kit from Tere-Flex, and then we'll drop the shocks completely. Right now we're taking the brake lines off as well. So we got the 4-link on, we're just tightening all the bolts up now, making sure everything clears before we tighten all the bolts, flex the suspension out as best we can to make sure that there's no interference issues and nothing hanging up.
Okay, all the components have been put in, all the systems. Just kind of showing you a little bit of the video of how it looks here. It's the front end.
So we're finally finished with the lift. This is still with 32-inch tires, but when we get the 37s on there, we'll shoot another shot of it. But this is the difference in height.